Hello, and welcome to the Millennial Nutritionist podcast. I'm Isla Garcia, master's degree of nutrition science and registered dietitian, and I'm going to make weight loss realistic, sustainable, and uncomplicated for your busy lifestyle. On this podcast, me and my team of registered dietitians will decipher the latest nutrition research, dissect fad diets, and discuss social media trends for you so you can feel confident knowing what to eat to achieve your health goals. Research suggests that most weight loss programs aren't successful, but my experience has taught me that this is not because the participants aren't committed. It's because those diets are designed by non-nutrition professionals and center around severe restrictions. We are here to provide the facts about the science of weight loss so you can have the success you want and continue living your best life. Hello, and welcome back to the Millennial Nutritionist podcast with your host, Isla, your founder, CEO, and host. I'm a registered dietitian. I feel like I don't say that enough. And I own the company, the Millennial Nutritionist, and I help millennials or people of all ages, really. I just kind of specialize with millennials because it's what I've been working with for so long, and I'm a millennial, lose weight. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that I've actually been wanting to make a handout about for clients for a while. So it's good that I'm able to now just do it as a podcast because I can just send it off. And it's what to do about hunger when you're trying to lose weight. This actually was an inspiration from the morning toast. I've gotten to the back habit of listening to it every day just because I feel like I have, I don't know, like kind of more free time, more just maybe like alone time as I'm like adjusting into this new routine of being in Charleston and being like completely alone or like in a house and not an apartment and like running into people and like making plans and stuff. But anyway, I've been enjoying listening to their episode and especially their episodes, and especially with Claudia, one of the co-hosts. She's gotten off Ozempic and then has said that she has recently been like struggling with hunger. So I was thinking about like what other people might be struggling with or what I would even say to her. And then I did a poll on Instagram. Make sure to go follow us over there at the.millennial.nutritionist of what episode next you would be interested in. I've been really liking doing that because since these are solo episodes, I can do them on the fly and I just want to make episodes that you're interested in. But anyway, you said that you wanted this episode. So we're going to go for it today. I'm breaking up the episode into why are you hungry and then solutions for actual hunger and 5 points for each because I love a good rounded number there. But overall updates before we dive into this topic is that first, just want to shout out that as of right now, March 21st, there's only one spot left for me for April. I've had 2 previous clients come back and want to work with me for April, so they've pre-booked. So I'll have one spot left if you want to fill that. Lacey does have a spot and she might have a spot open. I'm not sure because she just booked 2. So she might actually only have one spot open for the next like 3 months if you want to take that. But I'm stopping taking clients in like mid-May just because I'll be due in August, which is crazy. So I just can't, I need to make sure I don't take like my 3-month time commitment clients during that time. So you basically have 1 chance for April and then 3 more chances for May to take those spots. Other updates, I've had a lot more time, so I've been able to upload a lot into Millennial Living. This past month has been the theme of eating something green that's healthy. And so I've uploaded a lot of recipes. I've been personally trying to focus on this goal because eating green means eating a lot more like folate and folic acid, which is important for a growing baby. So I've been posting on there. Posting a lot of recipes that I've kind of been eating with the greens. We also made an Iron 101 video. I just uploaded it. Kenley, who is a previous employee and now a dietetic intern, made it, and it's really, really great. I think I'm going to get into that habit of maybe going through these like micronutrients people sometimes ask about supplementing on Millennial Living. So that one's a really good comprehensive, like what you should know about it. Should you be supplementing, stuff like that? We also made a March Costco guide and a farmer's market guide. So we kind of hit all the things. And then there will be a food demo to come. I'm thinking some like easy vegetable sides because I always get questions for that. Probably next week, but make sure to sign up for Millennial Living. You get 2 weeks free when you sign up if you're a new member. But that's all the updates. So let's get into our topic today. Overall, I just want to preface with you should never be hungry when you're trying to lose weight. I actually don't typically have clients that struggle with this problem, but sometimes, especially when it's like period time, which I'm going to go over in like various reasons why you could be hungry. just so we can have a good background. But yeah, so I wouldn't say it's like something I'm constantly combating, but and I don't really feel like it should be something that you're combating when you are trying to lose weight if you're doing it correctly, and especially with help of a registered dietitian. But you also shouldn't like never be hungry, because I have some clients that just think like it's a problem if they ever get hungry for any time throughout the day. Because I think there's just like conflicting information with like diet culture slash like intuitive eating world, where it's like we should just like it's bad if you are ever hunger and you're going to ruin your metabolism. No, I mean, like, being hungry is a normal part of the day because your stomach fills up and it empties, and it's okay if you're hungry for a little bit. Not saying again like you should be hungry and you need to fight through it, but it's not a problem if you're hungry sometimes throughout the day. Like, it doesn't mean that it's something that like always needs to be fixed. But I'm going to run through again like reasons you would fix it. Um, if you are hungry all the time and you feel really weak and you feel low energy, then that's a problem. Again, this is nothing that I struggle with my clients, but I do hear people who are like maybe doing like 1,000 calorie diets, or if you are doing like, I mean, this basically would just come from you eating a very low amount of calories, whether it's like a juice cleanse or just like not eating a lot throughout the day. Because when I start working with clients, they typically say their energy increases like right away because we're increasing increasing the food they're eating, not necessarily the calories, but it's helping them. So if you notice that like you're hungry all day long, like you don't get a break from it, you wake up starving, you go to bed starving, and you feel really weak, low energy, it's like hard for you to stay awake and focus on work, or like even have the energy to get through your workouts, then it is probably something you should fix. But again, if it's just like you're hungry once every like 4 hours before mealtime, that's normal and it's nothing you should like stress about. I also want to preface that people often confuse hunger with just wanting food. This is something that I do work on with clients, because it seems like in the beginning when you honestly just have to kind of cut out. I think I mostly see it with like desserts at the end of the day. People say that they are hungry, and then when I ask them like, or is your stomach growling, if you just did you just eat? And when we think through like, no, my stomach isn't growling, yes, I just ate, I'm adequately hydrated, like this checklist I'm going to run through with you, they say all those things are fine, and they more so are just like mourning the fact that they can't have like tons and tons of desserts anymore to lose weight. So that's not hunger, that's something else that I'll go over in a minute. But it's important that you also parse through that, because when I get the complaint of like, I feel hungry, if I go through like, again, are you really hungry or do you just like want food? Then we can work through a solution with one of those. And I would say like 90% of the time with my clients, it's them just like wanting food. And we do just have to come to the reality of like, we do have to cut out some things, not permanently, but like to meet a calorie deficit and to stay full, you can't just eat like 300 calorie ice cream every day, probably. Okay, so I have 5 points of why are you hungry, because this can help you to understand what to do about it. And then 5 points for solutions for like actual hunger. Like once we run through this, like, why are you hungry? Which most of it is like maybe like the wanting food or like non-nutritional aspects of hunger. Then we can go through like, if you've already run through all those things and like, look, I am just actually like justifiably hungry, then we can work through the solutions that I work through with my rare clients who have that happen to them. Okay, so first biggest one that's hard for me to like always preface with is that you're just like overall not doing this whole weight loss thing correctly. Because I do get, like I said, people who say they used to be really hungry when they tried to lose weight with other people or other programs. And so if you're just like overall eating a very low amount of food that's not good for your body, then yes, you're going to be hungry, and that's not okay. So make sure you're not doing that, first of all. Also, just like making sure you're eating correctly, which I'd really encourage you to go listen to one of my old podcast episodes. It's really old, but it's basically like my 6-step method for how I get people to lose weight. And I work through like a lot of that is just like how to avoid hunger while being like losing weight. Because if you're hungry, you're going to backslide and all this stuff. So just like the quick and dirty of what that is, if you don't end up listening to it, is, first make sure you fill up your meal with produce every time, half your meal with produce every time you eat a full meal. Add protein to what you're eating, add enough calories at each meal, and eat 3 to 4 meals per day like this. It doesn't mean that you need a breakfast, but typically it's like, I mean, I've never had somebody that's only eating 2 meals. It's typically like I don't eat breakfast, but I eat a snack at like 10 o'clock and it's like, okay, that's like a late breakfast. Or they do a snack like after dinner that's like 300 to 500 calories. I'm like, yeah, okay, that would be well, that would be the same as breakfast, but whatever. So like trying to eat 3 to 4 meals or like 3 meals, one snack, because if you are only eating 1 to 2 meals a day, like, yes, you're going to be so hungry, but it's like you shouldn't be doing that if you're trying to lose weight anyway. Eating enough calories at each meal. Yeah, like I've had some people who are like, yeah, but I just get so hungry before dinner. And then I look, I'm like, yeah, because you're only eating like 250 calories at lunch. A salad with a rotisserie chicken is not enough. And what happens if you are so hungry, and I think I go over this in the hormone episode, if you are so hungry by the time you get to dinner, you're going to feel miserable and you're going to end up overeating. So it doesn't even work out if you try to eat like that. And I have gone over so many times like why we need protein and produce. So literally just like try to listen to any probably like the previous 5 episodes ever, and you'll get an idea of why. Do you love our realistic approach on nutrition but want to dive a little bit deeper? Let me tell you about the Millennial Living Membership Program. This was designed to help you stay motivated and inspired no matter what health journey you're on. We develop monthly nutrition and fitness challenges with prizes you can win if you stick with it to help motivate you through every month. To inspire you, we upload weekly recipes with downloadable food lists, monthly food demos, and we can even have a registered dietitian answer your questions on nutrition and weight loss. Our members form a community with other like-minded people to help support each other on their health journey. If you are seeking a way to stay motivated throughout your health journey with our method in mind, try signing up for the Millennial Living Membership Program for the first 2 weeks free by signing up on our website at themillennialnutritionist.com. So first, make sure you're doing those things, because if you're not doing those things, these other factors aren't really gonna help. Like that, if you do all those things, that'll probably solve most of the problem when it comes to hunger, especially making sure you're not just like actually starving yourself by eating only 1,000 calories or whatever. So the next reason you could be hungry or have the sensation of what you think might be hunger is you're emotional. So you might be sad, stressed, or you just want food in a social aspect. I was talking to a client about a client like that recently, where she's like, on the weekdays, I do fine. And on the weekends, I just see so much family. I go out to eat with my husband. We go on tons of dates. And that's when I tend to unravel, is I just socially eat really, really high calorie foods. We go over all of this in a previous episode. When I was like making this outline, I realized that this is pretty much just a ton of previous podcast episodes that I filmed, just all combined into a one overview episode, because my whole outlook on losing weight is trying to keep you the fullest that I can while putting you in a calorie deficit. So it's nothing outside of the norm of what I've said in any episode for what I'm talking about right now. So go listen to, I'm going to link an emotional eating episode, because that might be why you feel hungry, like you just want food. If you are stressed and you're used to just like shoving your face with chips, or getting home at the end of the day and ordering a huge thing of pad thai to like debrief throughout the day at the end of the day, or you feel sad and you want to eat a whole tub of ice cream, stuff like that. The whole like balanced plate thing isn't really going to help you. You have to address the emotions to fix that. The next thing I group together are what I call fixable lifestyle factors. So a couple of quick reasons why you actually might be hungry that's pretty fixable is, number one, you're exercising too much, especially super high intensity stuff. So when some people do very high intensity stuff, whether it's something like a HIIT style class or a boot camp class, or even running a lot, anything where your heart rate is pretty high, lots of like high intensity pelotoning, you can make yourself more hungry, where it's very counterintuitive to people. But if you decrease that type of exercise and replace it with a low stress calorie burn, which is why I love walking, you might be less hungry. This happens to me every time I try to do exercises like that. I end up so hungry that's unmanageable, and then I gain weight. So it ends up backfiring anyway. So evaluate your exercise regimen. Number two in the fixable lifestyle factors category is not drinking enough water. If you are dehydrated, your body knows to crave foods because it gets a little bit of hydration in you. And also, there's a part of feeling full where your stomach is literally just filled with things. Like you might get this sensation if you drink a cup of water before you eat at a restaurant. I feel like that's like a really old recommendation that really does work, or drinking a glass of water after you eat at a restaurant because it can help you physically just feel full. And then also not sleeping enough. Make sure that if you can, I feel like a lot of sleep problems, you can't fix that easily. But if it's something where you're just like, oh, I didn't realize that sleep impacts your hunger levels, there's a lot of research to suggest that people who sleep less have a higher hunger hormone and a lower fullness hormone. So it really does cause you to be more hungry. I think some of the reasons behind that is that you get energy from food, from calories. That's literally why we need food to live. And so our body knows that. It causes us to crave a little bit more. You also just like feel off. You might just want to be comforted with food. So if you can, try to work on your sleep. If you can't, sometimes I work with people and they have some sleep issues. It's something I'm just like, let's just keep this in the back pocket, because if you're not losing weight and you feel really hungry, it might be something to focus on solely with somebody else to fix the sleep issue so that you cannot be as hungry during the day. The fourth reason that you might be hungry is PMSing. When we PMS, we do burn a little bit more calories and our hormones are just also all over the place, which can cause us to be more hungry for a lot of different reasons. And this is something that I do see with clients. It's like once a month, they're like, I'm just so hungry. The good news is, like I said, there's some research to show that we do burn a little bit more calories. I think it's somewhere between 300 to 500 or something when we're in that week or a couple of days. So don't feel too bad if you end up giving in and eating, but I also recommend people to try to eat low calorie foods, maybe try to eat more fruits and vegetables during this time, drink water, just do all the things that we're saying right now so that you don't end up plateauing every time you come out of the PMS. But it is a reason that you might be hungry. If it's not all the time, it could be due to that. The fifth reason you might be hungry is I just put you are justifiably hungry. So this is whenever we get to the point of when I work with clients, if we've already worked through these first four things that are kind of like simple fixes or maybe non-nutrition related, or they're more to do with like emotions, like I guess I would say like outside of my scope of practice, then it comes down to what I can actually help with. So you might be on some medications that make you hungry. I don't know what they are off the top of my head. I think that I didn't have a ton of research, but I feel like a lot of them go back to like psych medications can make people more hungry in general. I mean, definitely if you're on a steroid, it can make you more hungry. So you might just be more hungry from your medication, and that's something we can work on. You might be a volume eater. So I don't know the research behind it, but I feel like this is me. I've heard other people talk about it. And I feel like the clients that I work with where they have this hunger issue is that they just are used to eating higher volume foods. For example, you could just sit there and eat so much of something. And I compare this to me versus my husband. He is more of like a can't eat a whole lot at one time, but loves to have lots of little snacks throughout the day, where I'm the opposite. I could just eat a whole bunch at one time and do fine without snacking, because that's how I'm able to maintain a lower body weight in that meal pattern, because I know I'm a volume eater. I can eat him in any meal, but the snacking I can do without, where he's the opposite. And I feel like my mom is the opposite too, of like, she doesn't eat that much at one time, but then she's able to snack more. So this might be you, and we can work on ways you can fix this if you do feel like you are a volume eater that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And then lastly, the justifiable reason is overall weight loss can cause people to be hungrier. So when I went to my certificate of training for obesity management, they talked about this and how they find that people who lose weight do permanently have higher hunger hormones than people who have never had to lose weight. So hopefully that doesn't make you feel helpless. I again kind of go into this in that hormone episode, but there might be something to it, and it just might be something you've got to work on the rest of your life. And if anything, maybe this motivates you to not want to gain weight. I mean, that's a big reason why I don't want to gain I don't want to gain that much excess weight during this pregnancy, just because of all the things I know about how it kind of puts you in a bad spot if you're trying to lose weight for a reason like this of you might just be permanently hungrier. Again, I really haven't seen that with many of my clients. Now I only work with them for like 3 months. So maybe it happens when you get to a lower body weight, but don't be too afraid because it's not something I really see. These solutions I'm telling you, I can count maybe 5 people that I've worked with out of the like 200 plus that have had this issue. So again, don't just be like, well, that's me. I'm not be able to do anything about it because you can. And this is why I have the degree that I have because I can help you. So let's say that one of those 3 are you. I'm going to give you 5 tips for how you can be fuller. So first of all, eat less processed foods. So these are going to be very specific tips if you like specific tips. Less processed is in like the more whole food you can get to something, the more filling it's going to be. If we compare this to protein shakes, I love that's like the only real like supplement super processed food that I love. But for my people who do struggle with hunger, this is something I say, let's maybe think of other proteins that are natural or I guess like naturally occurring proteins that you have to chew, that take up more room in your stomach. Because every time we process something, whether it's bread or a granola bar, we are taking some things out of it to make it work for the new food product. So we're going to be less full. This is why I'm not a proponent of any sort of greens powder because greens, even comparing a pile of spinach, at least has a little bit more fiber, a little bit more structure, and a little bit more water. And that's going to help you to fill you up versus something like a greens powder. So if you can go from looking at your diet and saying, is there anything that's super processed, like crackers or even something like a cheese stick, anything that like that, it's not going to help you because it's not going to be very high volume. So trying to get down to like, if I need a protein, I'm going to try to pick something I can actually chew so that it's a little bit more filling. Number 2 is eat less concentrated sweets / added sugar. This is one of my go-tos. Honestly, all these I struggle with. I feel like I'm somebody that's a volume eater. I just grew up eating a ton of food at one time. I grew up as an athlete and I just got used to, I think, eating so much that I don't know, my body's just used to it. But this one specifically is like my first go-to, which I'm currently trying to do now as a pregnant person. So I don't end up eating actually like 3,000 calories a day. Is just trying to eat less sweets. Kind of like a piggybacking off of the first thing is sugar, concentrated sugar, like table sugar is a super processed thing. Like everything we have like that came from like some sort of original food, right? Whether it's corn or cane sugar. Like if we were to go or sugar cane, is that what they call it? When you go into the forest, I guess, and harvest the cane, maybe we're originally supposed to just eat it like that. It's supposed to be kind of sweet. But now we've taken all of the fiber out of the actual vegetable it came from, and now we have the sugar. So it is just so not dense enough to make you feel full. It goes straight through you. It doesn't fill you up because it's just so small compared to fruit, at least has some fiber and some water and stuff like that. So trying to get rid of that can really help. And what you can replace it with is adding carbs to meals instead of just saving room for dessert because it's going to be higher volume. It's something that I did a long time ago, and I was surprised at how much it really helped. Where I used to just say, I'm going to do like a salad and chicken for lunch, and then I'll do my carb calories for like a brownie because it technically all could work calories wise, but it left me feeling very hungry. And it's because if you compare the volume of something like a potato or like brown rice for what you would get 100 calories of in a brownie, which is, I don't even like very, very small amount, you would get so much more volume in a whole potato that's like 100 calories versus a 100-calorie brownie or 100-calorie. Well, like it's Easter. So I've been like getting some of those like little Reese eggs. They're 170 calories. Like that's crazy. And that does not fill me up at all. I could totally eat a baked potato that's only about 100 calories and that would make me so much more full. So trying to do that can really help. It might be depressing because you're not getting dessert, but hey, if you're trying to lose weight and you struggle with hunger, it can help. Next one is don't skip meals. So this kind of goes into just make sure you're doing things the right way. But yeah, don't skip meals. I think it's something that people who are super busy think that it's going to help with, or they just forget. It's a huge, huge help to your body if you just eat consistently throughout the day, regulate those hunger hormones if you can. And I get it if you're like, that's just not realistic for me. Like sometimes I cannot, and it's either the drive through or nothing at all. And I'm trying to be in a calorie deficit and I'm just going to do nothing at all. If that's you, I would strongly encourage you to just do maybe a snack situation, or even if it's breakfast, trying to do a smoothie, or even, God forbid, a protein shake. No, I'm just kidding. But that can really help you to find ways to not skip meals, is to just pack some grab and go options or source. I mean, if you're going to fast food places, fast food doesn't have to be that bad. Source some options, especially if you live in a bigger city, that have healthier options. Even McDonald's still has the apple slices. So for breakfast, you can get a McGriddle or whatever they have and apple slices, and that is totally fine. And you can it's probably comparable to what you would eat at home anyway. So don't skip meals. The fourth tip for solutions for actual hunger is eat more carbs instead of fat. So this kind of goes along with the sugar situation, but this is something I looked up for people when I had them struggle with hunger, is that if we think about the amount of volume again, just like we're not doing anything processed, but if you take an avocado versus, again, compare it to a potato, 100 calories of avocado is, again, like nothing because it's a fat. Fats are twice the amount of calories per gram of food versus a carb, which means, like, I wish I had a better example, but if you take, I guess like this would be fat versus, let's see if I get this trackpad. I feel like it's about double. This would be the, amount of carbs you would get for the same amount of calories. You're going to feel more full, maybe, if you do carbs. There's a sensation, like I said, where we feel full just from our stomachs being filled up with things. There is another sensation where if your digestive system is slowed, it can help you to feel full, which is why fats work better for some people, because it does slow digestion compared to carbs. I don't think this is me. I feel way more full eating a large volume carby meal versus a very high fat meal. I just went downstairs and had a really good spinach lasagna, which I put on Millennial Living, and it's pretty high calorie though, because there's so much cheese in it, which makes it a pretty high fat meal. And so I walked away honestly not feeling like super full, because I can only have like a small amount for a lot of calories. Versus if you were to have something like that's rice based or noodle based, you could probably get a lot more volume for the same amount of calories. So I would just encourage you to seek out more carby meals versus fatty meals. So, like I said, noodle based, rice based, potatoes, like the one that keeps coming to mind for some reason, versus something like a cheese base or super oily or like a super high fat cut of meat or something like that might not fill you up as much. My fifth tip is eat 3 balanced meals and no snacks. So at first I wrote this and I was like, I repeated this, but no, what I mean is that, again, it's niche, and this is something that I just have people try out. It works for some people. It doesn't work for others. But some people get more full if you eat just 3 large meals and no snacks versus having to cut calories at meal times because you're saving calories for your snacks. So for example, let's say 1,500 calories, which I rarely give. That's like if somebody's already like a pretty low body weight. But if you can only eat 1,500 calories, just because it's easy to think in my head, you could do 3 square meals of 500 calories, right? Where if you're trying to allocate some snacks, you'd probably have to cut to what, 400, 350 for your calories. And then if you're trying to do snacks, that still wouldn't leave you a whole lot of calories for snacks. So it might be more helpful for you to actually get all the way full in a meal and then let your body get hungry before that mealtime again, hoping that it'll be hungry again in like 3 to 4 hours. For people who are trying to gain weight, especially like in the beginning of my pregnancy, it's better to actually do the opposite. So when you have a hard time eating, and if you have a hard time feeling too full all the time, the recommendation is to do more small meals, because you're hoping that you don't feel as full, you don't feel as bloated. But this might feel better for you, again, if you struggle with hunger, to do these higher volume meals. Does mean, again, that you probably can't get away with all the snacks. But if you feel less hungry overall, you probably don't need to do the snacks. And that's something that my clients who struggle with hunger end up finding, that it's hard because they think that snacking more is going to make them feel better, but it actually makes them feel better to feel fully full during a meal and then get depleted and then feel fully full again. So just try it out. Well, those are my tips. I feel like I went kind of fast. I feel like I had a lot of information, but I hope that you're able to take something from it. If you really enjoy this content, I really want to direct you to sign up for our email list. We have a lot of content going on all over the place. Sometimes I get more passionate in some forms versus others. Sometimes I'm like, I hate social media. I don't want to post anything. And then I get really into doing stuff on YouTube or stuff on Millennial Living or vice versa. So we try to package everything up at least once a month in our emails. And so I'll link it below. We won't spam you. I really try to make them purposeful and just try to give you inspiration and keep you motivated and just help you to see everything we're putting on every platform in case you delete something, or something like that. So just sign up if you feel like you need some weekly, bi-weekly, monthly motivation from us in your inbox. But take care. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Millennial Nutritionist podcast. For daily weight loss tips and nutrition information, you can find us on Instagram at the.millennial.nutritionist and on TikTok at millennial.nutritionist. If you find this information helpful, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend who needs encouragement on their health journey. See you in the next episode.